Are you a first home buyer wanting to get into the market but afraid of making a big mistake? Well, then stick around, because in this video we talk about the 6 most common mistakes first home buyers make and exactly how to avoid them. All right, let's work our way backwards and start with number 6, not knowing what and where to buy. Now, this is one of the most common questions that I actually find when I'm talking to first home buyers, because there's so many options when you're looking at purchasing your first property. Do I get a townhouse? Do I get an apartment? Do I live in the city? Do I live in the country? Do I get an acreage? Maybe something that's going to be 3 hours away and then something you can spend the rest of your life in. Who knows? The only right decision is the one that actually feels right for you. So how do you find out the right decision? Best way to do it, in my opinion, is to take a list of 3 different categories. You want your wants, needs, and won'ts. Sit down for a good hour or two and actually be really honest with yourself here and write down a list of everything that you really want in a property. This shouldn't be too hard. There's lots of things everyone wants in a home. Then next, write down a list of everything that you really need in a property. It's really important to be honest with yourself here though, and make sure that you're not actually putting any of the wants in the needs category. And last of all, and probably most important, is write down a list of things that you absolutely won't put up with in a home. Now for me, I don't really mind about living on a main road or living in a noisy part of the city, because it just doesn't really fuss me. But something that I won't put up with is if I am going to live in a house, I don't want a little 200 square meter block of land. I'm either in a house on a big block of land, or I'm in the city in a nice location in an apartment. That might be a need for you, it might be a won't for you. The important thing, like I said, is just to be really honest with yourself about what you absolutely want, what you need, and what you won't put up with. Next up is number 5, taking well-intentioned but outdated property advice. Now, this is something that I see all too often. It's usually Cousin Barry that used to be a property mogul back in the 80s, and he hasn't actually done anything in the market for the past 2 to 3 decades. A lot of the time, this is well-intentioned advice, and some of it actually can be correct. But unless someone actually stays current with the market, you really want to make sure you're getting advice that's going to take you from where you are to where you actually want to go. So the best way to do that is to seek out trusted professionals. Start talking to as many real estate agents, buyer's agents, conveyancers, everyone that you can start to put together in your team, and people that you feel actually give you quality information. It's so important that the information you're getting when you're making this huge purchase is up to date and relevant for your situation. Number 4, thinking the negotiation has to be aggressive. This is something that I really come across quite a lot with, especially younger males. I'll get a guy that's in his early 20s and wants to Donald Trump bang the fist on the table and start really taking charge. It's, in my opinion, the silliest way you can negotiate, because you'll catch a lot more flies with honey than you will vinegar. If you want to start learning a little bit more about negotiation tactics, one of the biggest tips I can actually give you is to gather as much information as you can before the offer's even been made. If you can actually just understand where the vendor's coming from and where they want to get to, that's really one of the keys to the craft of negotiation. Understanding what the other person wants and seeing how you can match your wants and needs up with theirs. Now, the number 3 mistake I see first home buyers go through all too often is paralysis by analysis. Sometimes I'll see first home buyers for over 12 months, and it's not because they haven't found the right home, it's because they're too afraid to pull the trigger. Now, this is completely normal. It's a massive decision, and it's supposed to be a little bit scary. It's just like jumping out of a plane. It's going to be terrifying the first time you do it. If you've ever done it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I can tell you it's terrifying. But once you do it though, once you understand how it works and commit to that little bit of fear, then it's an amazing experience you'll just want to do again and again. So the biggest tip I can give you for this one is make sure that you've done your research. If you've got all of the boxes ticked and you still feel like you're not quite there and ready to pull the trigger, then I'd be asking myself why. What is it that's actually really standing in my way here? Because I bet you it's got nothing to do with the house. Most of the time, it's just got to do with that natural fear of making such a huge decision. And the second to last mistake I see first home buyers go through all too often is looking at the shine and not the substance. Now, whilst it's definitely my job as an agent to present the home in its best possible light, make sure that we're styled right, we're staged right, everything looks beautiful. The key for you though is to look at that and definitely take it on board, but you also want to look at the substance of a property. What's the floor plan really like? Is it in the right location for you? Does everything fit you now, but is it actually going to fit your lifestyle in the next 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 10 years? It's those kinds of things that are actually going to be really important for you when you're buying your first home. And lastly, the number 1 mistake I see first home buyers make, and it's way too often, is not having their finances in order. Now, if you're watching this video right now and you don't have your pre-approval in place, please pick up the phone, talk to a broker, and make sure that you've got all of your finances in order. I've seen way too many first home buyers find the perfect property that they absolutely love, only to miss out on it because when I'm presenting all of the offers to the vendors, their offer doesn't have any of the terms that everyone else does in terms of financial security. It doesn't take very long. You'll be on the phone to the broker for about 10-20 minutes and you'll probably meet with them for about an hour, and it can save you tens of thousands of dollars, plus it can save you the heartache of missing out on the property that you've been searching for. Well guys, I hope you found that video helpful. If you've got any other questions, feel free to get in touch with any of the contact details below. Also, if you've got another question you want answered in the comments, then comment below. Jack and I make sure that we get to every single one of them. But look, if you'd like to stay up to date with all the latest property news and industry professional interviews that we do, then click the subscribe button and the little bell notification as well. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Have an awesome week.